everybody, it's Brian back from Inspiring How You See That. We're the channel that talks about all different kinds of music and entertainment and interviews some of your favorite stars. And today I have a very special guest. I have country star Clayton Shay. Clayton, thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and you and I have communicated for quite a while on Facebook, so
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
It's one of those things that, like, you know, you meet somebody through virtually, and you know they help you out, and then you're like, man, I just hope the paths cross someday, and here we are.
And it worked perfect. So we're here in Cleveland, Ohio,
Yep.
and you played last night, and you're going to be playing tonight. So how are you liking it so far here?
I mean, the city is amazing. I wish I could see more of it, but it's one of those things like, you know, you go on tour and you never have enough time. It's like you're go, 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 and you wake up the next day and you're hungover, and then you know, that's how it is. But yeah, it's a beautiful city. I'd love to spend a little more time checking it out one of these days.
Nice. And you mentioned the tour that you're on. Mm-hmm. So how long is that tour going on for you?
So it's what I like to call the weekend warrior stuff. So we're not like out for weeks at a time per se, but it's more like, you know, Friday through Sunday. So yeah, it's every weekend. I mean, we started back in, I think, April, and we've been booked solid through October. So
nice.
Every weekend. Yeah.
How's it going so far? Being on the road?
It's awesome. Yeah, we've been. I mean, we've hit a bunch of new markets this year. We were in Texas last weekend, San Diego, Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio, obviously now, Illinois, Iowa, all over the place.
Wow, sweet.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Illinois. That's where you're originally from, and you're now in Nashville.
Yep.
So when did you make the move down to Nashville?
So it's 2018. It's been about exactly 4 years and 6 months-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was it making that trip down there and kind of just, hey, I'm going for it?
You know, I visited a bunch of times before I went down permanently for good, and it only really took me 1 or 2 times going down to know that was where I needed to be.
Sure.
Obviously, it's a very intimidating move because you're going to where the hub of all the best musicians and writers are. But
yeah.
It was one of those things for me where I've always felt like if you're not uncomfortable with what you're doing, you're not going to grow. So
sure.
It just was a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can imagine you're probably meeting other musicians down there that are helping you grow as a musician.
Mm-hmm. I always use the analogy of if you want to be a marine biologist, you can do it anywhere, but it helps to be by the water. So for me, you know, I was doing the music thing in Illinois, and it was going really well, but there was kind of a glass ceiling, and for me, I just had to get to where the best of the best was.
Sure.
So
awesome. And I should say, congratulations, you actually just released a new song, Islands, yesterday.
Yep.
So how does that feel? You got another single out, a new video out?
Yep.
And
yeah, it's always a fun process. It's kind of like a holiday, releasing a song, but you know, it's a little bit more vulnerable. You don't know how it's gonna go. You're releasing a part of yourself to people, and you just hope that they accept it and they like it. And
sure.
The feedback's been great so far, and I've never done a summer song, so it was a lot of fun for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of your second row that's like a fun, upbeat song.
Yeah.
So you've gone from, you know, of course, which is your biggest hit so far, which is Signed Another Man.
Yep.
And now you're doing more of the kind of the fun stuff. Was that what you want to do, or are you just going to mix it up as whatever comes along?
You know, it's not very planned. It's not very strategic. Everything else I do is, but that, like the song process, I kind of let it be organic, and I try not to think about it too much. Just whatever I write that I love at the time is what comes out, really. So,
yeah.
Like what we were talking about before this interview, you know, I had another song lined up that was, it's a little more on the sad side. It's a little more ballady. But then we wrote the song Island, and I was like, I got to get it out before the summer's over. So there's not really a whole lot of strategy in like what songs get released per se, but it's always just best song wins.
Sure.
Yep.
Now, are you working on a full album now, or?
I would like to do an album someday, but for now, like the singles just make the most sense for me.
Sure.
I believe that until you get to like a really high level where you've got a huge fan base, that it just makes more sense to do singles because it's easier to market a single.
Yeah.
And if you have, you know, I could see myself doing an EP, but if you have like a 12-song album, there could be 5 or 6 songs in there that are amazing that don't see the light. You know, they just get lost in the album.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'd love to do one someday, but for now, it's just going to be singles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, we should say, and you guys may remember our friend Brenna Bone. Mm-hmm. You actually did us a cover with her. Mm-hmm. So how did you guys get to meet, and how did that come about?
I honestly don't remember how we met initially. It's one of those things, I'm sure it was like a Red Door Saloon, you know, Nashville, probably 2 a.m. we met. You know, I've met so many people that way. there's no way to trace back. But yeah, her and I have been friends for years. Love Brenna. She's super talented, great writer, great artist, great person. Like I was telling you, I haven't seen her in a while, but we used to write, every month, sometimes a couple times a month. But yeah, I think that probably answered your question.
It did. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Signed Another Man.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea that was going to take off and become the massive hit that it has? I mean, it's got millions of views right now on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. In fact, quite the opposite. It was one of those ones that I wasn't super confident in. And it seems like, from what I've heard from other people, that's always how it goes. It's always the one that you don't expect.
Sure.
I remember at that time, it was my second single. I was still really new to the game, and I was like, sad song. I didn't have another song that beat it at the time, really. And my producer and I were sitting down. He's like, "This is your best one, man. Let's just dive in." And it took like 6 months to record because I was being very particular and overthinking everything. And but yeah, it's obviously been the most successful thing that I've done, and it's changed my life and my career as an artist too. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I liked is, it starts out and you're thinking it's going to be kind of that cliche country song, she's with another guy, I hate that guy, then,
Yep.
well, you flip it on its lid, and it's like, hey, care about her, and I hope you're the man that I wasn't for her.
Yeah, when we wrote it, it took us 2 sessions, and it took us about 7 hours total to write, which is easily the most time I've ever dedicated to writing a song. But we knew we had something special the day we got into that writing session. So as soon as that idea came out, we're like, we want to write something, like you just said, that's not that typical, guy hates girl, girl hates guy. We want to write something that kind of flipped that thought on its axis.
Yeah.
And so as soon as that idea came out, we're like, all right, we got to take our time. We brought another writer in on it the second session, and just really, I don't think we could have written it much better than we did.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, it's a fantastic song, and the video fits it perfectly.
Thank you.
And have you heard from fans? Because I can imagine there's probably a lot of people that have felt that same kind of thing, and that kind of speaks to what I went through.
Sure.
Have you heard from them?
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, shout out to my guy, Andy Paulett with Jeans Media. He's done all my music videos, but we've talked about why we think that song and that video have been as successful as it has. And it's like, it strikes a chord with people, because either you're on one side where you're like, oh, I've gone through that, I've experienced exactly that, or you're on the other side where you're like, I would never, I would never,
screw him.
Right, yeah, exactly, I'd never help my ex's new person out or whatever. But more than that, it's been people who have said, like, this song helps me out,
Sure.
Even if it's not exactly what they're going through, it just offers a fresh perspective on a breakup, that it doesn't have to be toxic, basically.
Sure. So what would you say has been the toughest part for you in your career, trying to overcome to get to where you are today?
The toughest part, as an artist, and even in just an entrepreneur in general, there's ups and downs. There's no clear path that you can see that's, an obvious, like, you're doing it right type of thing.
Sure.
So I guess for me, it's been convincing myself that doing this thing is the right move. You pick out little things here and there. Sign Another Man, doing well was one thing that just, like, launched my confidence, I guess, way up.
Sure.
So you just keep an eye out for those things and try to, maintain positive attitude. And yeah, so there's never a clear-cut path. So it's just like, you got to pick your goals and be happy, even if you don't attain those things, because you get to do what you love as a career. So.
Sure. That's your art that you get to share with everyone.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, have there been any artists that have kind of shaped your sound or how you do things? Or had an influence on you, I should say?
That's a tough question. I know my answer, but it's every time I get asked this question, it's always not a clear answer, I guess. I'm so widely influenced. I grew up listening to, like, the Beatles and Frank Sinatra and 90s alternative music, like
Sure.
Creed and, like, Matchbox 20 and Goo Goo Dolls. So there's not really one specific artist or songwriter that's really shaped me. I pick things that I like from different people. Like Hardy's writing style, I love how clever he is with his lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I love, like, harmonies. I try to be, very insistent on having that in my sound. And yeah, there's not really one. I should probably figure that out, because I get asked that question a lot.
Just like myself. That's
Yeah, right. Yeah, I inspire myself.
Nice. So what's next for you? I mean, I'm sure you've got some other songs that you're working on. What can you share with fans now that what's coming next for Clayton Shay?
We're gonna ride this island wave for a little while and keep trying to pump that out to the public. But after that, we've got that song that I mentioned that we started a while back. It's honestly one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
Nice.
Lyrically, it's just like, it's something very real to me that I've gone through. And I think most people can relate to it. It's again a breakup song. Imagine that.
What is
I'm
country
pretty sure.
music? I mean-
Yeah, I was gonna say even with Island, I tell people like, yeah, it's my first beach song, and of course it's about a breakup because every song has to involve a woman in some way.
That's kind of a good way.
Right. The Island's fun, but this next one's not so fun. It definitely strikes like a deep chord for sure. So, but that's always been my bread and butter. Like I've always loved the ballads and the stuff that hits really deep. And but it's called "You Won't," and it's about two people not being right for each other, but they've been together for a long time, and one person has to be the bad guy and call it quits, basically. So it's what it's about. And
nice.
I don't know what the music video is going to be exactly yet, but sonically I've got a really good idea of what it's going to sound like, so I'm excited to get it out.
Awesome. We're excited to hear it, so I'm sure it's going to be great. We'll make sure we share it with you guys when it does come out. So
yeah, please do.
And Clayton, where can fans follow you online at?
So anywhere you get your music, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. I've got a website, claytonshay.com. YouTube's great. That's where all my music videos go to. Social media, obviously. Yeah.
Nice. Again, we're going to see them tonight, so this is going to be my first time seeing you live, so I'm excited.
Oh, you are coming out?
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
coming to the
let's
show.
go.
My dad's with me, and
Heck yeah.
we're coming out. It's going to be a good time, and maybe we'll share some of that with some of you guys. But
we got rowdy last night, so I hope you're ready.
we're ready.
It's going to be rowdy.
Nice. That's what we're here for. So.
All right, let's go.
Well, again, Clayton, thank you so much.
Yeah,
we
man,
appreciate it,
you,
brother. This has
Yeah.
been awesome. It's been a while. I've been wanting to do this, so it's truly a blessing to be able to meet you. And
I'm glad it worked out, man. This is great.
absolutely. And before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say to fans?
No, not really. Just stay classy.
There you go. And we reiterate that. So thanks again, man. We appreciate it.
All right,
and as
buddy.
always, thank you guys for spending this time with us. We love you all. God bless and rock on.